All right, let me now introduce a very special guest, former Gophers basketball player, now trying to come back to college athletics as a tight end, Jarvis Omersa. How are we doing today?
I'm very well. How you doing yourself?
I'm doing good. I guess we'll just start there. Kind of the main reason I reached out, wanted to talk to you. You dropped the video on Twitter, kind of making your pitch to college coaches, trying to make a comeback as a tight end. I guess what kind of went into that? What made you release the video? What are you kind of, I guess, looking out of that in the future?
So basically, I've been I guess the reason of the why, I guess I kind of what made me want to start doing it is I started serving at this restaurant called Charlie's in Prior Lake. And we were, when you were serving, there's always games on. And I'd be seeing the games and I'm just watching. And after a while I was watching, I just was like, I feel like I could probably do that. Just watching like NFL games and whatnot. And I'm thinking I'm capable. And then on top of it, I'm having a kid here probably in like the next 2 or 3 weeks. So
Congrats.
yeah, thank you. I was definitely like, you know, finding out a way to get involved and potentially make money down the line. Like, be absolutely something I'm really looking forward to. So
Yeah, so I guess it's been a while since Minnesota fans have obviously seen you compete athletically. I guess you mentioned you were a server and you obviously transferred from the Gophers program in 2021 after sitting out due to COVID. I guess kind of what have you been up to since then? And there were obviously some rumors that you were going to go to St. Thomas. Kind of how did that whole situation play out? And kind of how did you end up where you are now?
so basically I ended up I was gonna go to St. Thomas for which would have been like my senior year and then my like COVID year or whatever after that. But what ended up happening is basically they required a vaccine, and I just ended up telling them like, I don't really want to do that. It's not something I believe in. And they said they could be no help to me, so we just agreed to part ways. And then in the meantime, I guess I've just been chilling, working. I was promoting for a while, throwing a lot of parties and stuff like that, and yeah, just kind of figuring it out.
Yeah, just being a young guy in the Twin Cities.
Right.
Yeah. Do you technically still have 2 years of eligibility left then?
So I mean, like it depends on like I'm sure I could appeal for like 2 years, but really just like the 1 year.
Okay.
Like I for
Um,
sure have a year.
yeah. So obviously you played a few years at the U of M,
Yep.
growing up in Minnesota. I guess looking back at those few years on the basketball team, were you happy with how that went? Were you happy with your departure? Kind of, well, what are you going to remember from playing on the Gophers?
I guess what I remember from just playing at the U is just probably my teammates and just all the connections and bonds I made with people. I felt like I was a big part of our really big program. Even though I didn't have as much of an effect on the court, you could say. I don't know, it's kind of cool. And I guess just having my own little mark being left in a way that wasn't by playing entirely. So
Yeah, yeah, totally. So I guess even now when you look back at that in your early athletic career out of high school, is there anything you would have changed along the way that you wish you could have done different, or are you just kind of
yeah, I would have
happy?
played football like grown. If I would have played football, if I would have took football half as seriously as I would have taken basketball from my freshman year in high school, I think things would be a lot different right now. But
Yeah,
I honestly can't, I'm not mad about my situation. I have a son on the way. I'm in a really good position moving forward with this football stuff, and I'm really excited about it. So
yeah. So obviously you played football in high school,
yeah,
and I would assume that at least some college coaches were probably at least somewhat interested in you playing football, or was it all basketball?
it was majority basketball, but that's because I was like I didn't even really pay attention to football. It wasn't even there. I was just kind of told, "Hey, oh, you're too big to be a receiver or
Yeah.
anything like that. That's catching the ball or scoring touchdowns. What you want to be." which just, over time that became the style of the game. So yeah, I guess I just kind of missed out on that gamble.
Yeah. So I guess did you like not watch any football and like coach just reached out to you and said, "Hey, you should try out this football thing," or kind of how was did you always play football growing up?
So I've the first time I played football, I was like 11, and I played for like the 15U team with Jimmy Lee. And I don't know, I guess how this whole thing started. I just played growing up. I loved it. Ended up shying away from it for the reasons I told you about basketball. And now, no, I just was seeing it in basically I was seeing it on the TV, and I was like, I know I'm capable of doing that. Like I can do that. I want to get involved. So then I called Seth Green and asked him who is a good person to train with. And then I ended up training with TJ Dean from TNT Academy, who obviously has trained Seth and Brevin and Bate and a lot of other notable guys too, that are, in the NFL currently. So
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really all you can do. And you're recruiting out of high school. You obviously had a lot of offers for basketball. Did you always kind of know you wanted to stay home and go to Minnesota? And kind of what was your thought process out of high school?
I moved to Vegas. Like I transferred around a lot of schools in high school, but I moved to Vegas and played at Bishop Gorman for like 2 months, and it was just a really hard time for me and my mom. And I just after moving and coming back and moving around so much, like it was just kind of nice to have been put into place for a long time. And I think that was a big part of what went into my decision. On top of that, having Daniel and Gabe, and then there was a hope that maybe we could have possibly gotten Trey. So I took my chance on that gamble as well. Uh, but then, I mean, I guess I don't know. I guess yeah, that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, did you have any other thought of going to any other schools that were recruiting you, or was it always Minnesota all the
I
time?
you know I did I definitely liked other schools, but it was just I think I just kind of got scared by that whole big move for me, and it was kind of a lot. And I
Yeah.
guess I never gave it some time to germinate, to be fair. But yeah, I mean, I definitely had ambitions of going other places, but now I'm ready. I'm
Yeah,
very
for sure. College is intimidating. Obviously for
yeah.
me, not being an athlete, it's a little different, but it's a big step to move away from your where you grew up.
Oh yeah.
So obviously when you played with the Gophers, Richard Pitino was the head coach, no longer there. What was your kind of relationship with him, player to coach? And uh, I guess how would you like describe him as a head coach, someone who obviously didn't play for him?
I'd say Coach P is a good dude. I can't ever say anything bad about him. Learned a lot of things from him, and we taught each other things in different ways.
Yeah. So obviously now the program different head coach. Patino gets let go a few years ago. I don't know how closely you follow the basketball program now, but I guess why do you think, as someone who grew up in Minnesota, why do you think that Gophers can't win consistently? Or like what's the issue with Minnesota basketball?
I just think there just needs to be some consistency within the program. And that's it. There hasn't been much consistency. There hasn't been a time where one of the coaches who came in hasn't like recycled the team within 2 years, almost to like a full new roster again.
Yeah.
Uh, Pretty much just that. I think when there's they got to pick some kids that they're going to be like, hey, we're going to ride you for 4 years, man, and that's pretty much I don't know. That's it.
Yeah, I mean that's an answer that I've heard when I've asked any former player, because even if someone who played for Tubby Smith,
It's the same thing.
yeah, they just
It's the
recycle
same
through
thing.
coaches.
Yeah.
And
So
it's hard to build a culture when you're
it
doing that.
is, when you're losing assistant coaches every year, like these are the guys that brought some of these players.
Yeah.
When they leave it, not that it gets weird, but it's just like, that was kind of my guy. Like, I guess that's pretty much it.
Yeah, it's tough to feel at home if everyone around you is leaving.
Exactly.
Um, yeah, so now obviously there's a lot of other guys that have kind of done the same route that you've had that have a basketball background and they try to make it as tight end. Guys like Jimmy Graham, Antonio Gates, Tony Gonzalez, a lot of like Hall of Fame level talents. I guess how do you necessarily like relate to that and hope to go down that same path? Why do you think that's something that is been that it's happened before? Why do you think basketball players your size are able to be tight ends?
Well, because we are, the guys our size are like the ones that are always like, oh, he should be on the football field, or oh
Yeah,
no, he's just a big basketball player. Oh, he should be on the football field. Like, we're big bodies. We know how to we move very well. Um, we know how to use our frames. And I guess the biggest part of our game is, working in small spaces. So, any power forward or big man is just like a tight end in the sense of working within a small amount of space. And, rebounding. There you go, high pointing some balls, catching a lob, which obviously was one of my favorite things to do.
yeah,
Really no difference to high pointing the ball, you know? So I
yeah.
guess seeing all those things and all the attributes, I also know I'm a very physical person and I'm not afraid of contact. So like it all just kind of added up and worked out.
Yeah. So I kind of going back to your basketball career, you were obviously known as someone that used their athleticism a lot. You had a lot of impressive dunks. Just curious, I guess, is there one looking back at your basketball career that sticks out and like that was my favorite dunk I had during my career?
Uh, I honestly don't even know. Probably like it's probably something I can't even remember, but the one that just comes to my mind is I had a dunk against Utah at home. I think it was like my sophomore year,
Yeah.
beginning of the season. That was pretty sweet. It was a little pick and roll with Gabe. Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, Gabe's a guy who's been doing pretty good at Iowa State now too.
Yeah.
When you see all your teammates like that have success elsewhere, how does that kind of make you feel now as
It's
someone?
amazing. I mean, I don't even know if you realize this, but the point guard for FAU, Brian
Yeah,
Greenlee,
yeah,
that was one of ours.
yeah,
Yeah, like he's killing it, man. All them dudes, Gabe, Marcus, uh, Trey, even Sam's doing well for him. Everyone.
yeah. It's definitely interesting to look at when the Gophers are struggling so much themselves, and
Um,
everyone's all conference player. Got guys going to the Final Four. It's just
it's
yeah.
awesome. It's a blessing though. I mean, regardless, I'm just happy to see my boys doing well. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean it is a brotherhood. Those are guys you played with. It's
Oh,
good to see them
absolutely.
doing
Lived
well.
with, ate with, traveled with, everything.
Yeah, so I guess last question I'll get you out on. What's your do you have a pitch to NFL teams that are college programs or any football program that's wanting to get your services? What are they getting?
High energy, high motor, hard work, commitment.
I like it. Simple, to the point. Well, thanks again for doing this. Best of luck the rest of the way.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
yeah.
Appreciate it.